Well, there we are.
It's really happening now.
It's go time.
All right, here we go.
It was go time 52 minutes ago.
No kidding.
Touche.
All right.
Oh, I have a fancy little bar below my name saying what I am.
Here's how you do it. You just go to the...
I'm not touching it.
Okay. That's probably a good idea.
Good call.
Oh, jeez.
Push the button, Dan.
You're listening to the 4x4 Podcast, the podcast all about four-wheeling, overlanding, off-road racing, and the outdoor lifestyle. We talk about news, tips and tricks, answer your questions, and interview big and little names in the off-roading world. So whether your rig is busted and you're in the shop wrenching on it or on your way to the trail, join us and we'll keep you plugged in on topics to help you get away. Here are your hosts, Dan and Craig.
What is going on? The 4x4 Podcast, episode 100, and we have... Not just Craig, we have a full house here, and we are building the airplane while it's flying or crashing, one or the other. We're having a good time here. So I'm going to read down the road, and we're going to mention everybody we've got here. And you've probably heard just about every one of these voices on the show at some point. We have Tony McElroy from the XJ Talk Show. We have Rich Young from Overland Odyssey. And we've got Morgan Kinney, who's one of the listeners and has been able to somehow, through some miracle, join us on this live recording. He's got
magic,
the
man.
real touch. It is. That's real magic there. We also have John Kostich from the Center Steer podcast, Jason Specht from Mountain State Overland, David Boyd from the Nissan Nation podcast. Craig is still on the line, I think. And we've got Brandon Libby. From now, we can say from the Overland Roundtable, as well as a bunch of other things. So, thanks everybody for joining me here for episode 100. It says outstanding.
Yay. Can I meerkat this, and then it'll really screw up everything? I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I mean, this thing is going around. We've been playing with this, trying to get the show going for 52 minutes, and we finally managed to get it. So, good times. And I do have a show lineup planned. I did do a little bit of planning for episode 100. But to start things off, I just want to mention that the 4x4 podcast now is sponsored by Fridge Freeze. They are working with us for this expedition to Alaska. Since we are doing a major overlanding trip, it seemed appropriate that we actually plan and the whole thing legit and find out how a fridge works on a legit overlanding expedition. And Fridge Freeze makes a great product here in the United States, which is way more, I think, than possibly the average off-roader will need. But if you are in the medical community, I definitely recommend you guys check them out for transferring blood, organs, whatever you need. They are the real deal. It's going to last forever. So let's see. First thing we've got here is I had posted on Facebook how you have benefited from the 4x4 podcast. And while I try and find that link again, I'm going to open it up to some of the guys here in the Hangout with us. And I don't know. Let's start with Morgan, our actual listener that doesn't have their own podcast or something. How have you benefited from the 4x4 podcast?
Well, other than a great way to, take my mind off of some of the mind-numbing work I've been doing while listening to it, I've found it quite helpful as a resource to, plan out what I'm going to do with my own vehicle, where I want to go with them, because I have a mindset of, simplicity is best, and, simplicity is what will get you there, get you back, and get you home, and it's really helpful to get, like, the product reviews and to hear the opinions and the thoughts that other people have when they're building up their vehicles. It does me well to hear the guy say, oh, I put A, B, and C on my truck, and it got me there and got me back, and then hear the guy say, I put, E through Z on there, and it broke the minute it saw dirt, and I have no idea why. So it's been helpful to listen to everybody who's been on the show and hear what they've done, because then I can go and apply it to my own vehicles, assuming
Excellent.
I get money to do that.
Yeah, that is one of the things about off-roading, and it can become a giant money pit, and there's no end to what you can do with a vehicle. So that's good to hear. What about the rest of you guys? Okay, well, I'm gonna jump right in, and I'll read through some of the comments here. Robert Perez shared with us a really good note. Robert Perez on Facebook shares, love the show. I spend countless hours traveling to wherever the oil field sends me. Now I don't have to listen to the same 6 songs that rotate through the radio. I can actually listen to something that I am truly interested in. Your show has really stepped up my get out and explore motivation. My kids and I are planning our first mini Texas Hill Country Overland trip. They are excited as I am. My 11-year-old son is our navigator. I've been able to teach him more about highways, maps, and landmarks. My 8-year-old daughter is our photographer. She absolutely loves the Jeep lifestyle. We have a 97 XJ that we have been slowly building up, and just ordered a 2015 JK to enjoy for many, many years to come. And my wife just says, tell me when to jump in the Jeep. I want to go. My work schedule tell you the impact on our family. Thank you for everything that you do. And Robert, thank you for sharing that. That is really the reason that I've started the podcast and have carried it on through 100 episodes, is because I want to help motivate and inspire and educate you guys, and make that trip more enjoyable for not just you but for the whole family. So thank you very much. I'm definitely going to be saving all these, because anytime it takes me 52 minutes to start a podcast, I can look at that and see it really does mean something, and we're doing it for a real purpose. So has anybody else got a story to share how the 4x4 podcast has affected them or benefited them while I jump to the next message here?
As a fellow,
I think I gained 5 pounds listening to the food segments.
I just want to say, as a fellow podcaster, it's nice to know I'm not alone in having technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, the technical gremlins will always get after me. So, and it's funny, I am not the most technically inclined person. I had no idea how to run a website or do any of the podcast hosting when I started this. So it was up to Andy Lehman. He runs a website, lehmancreations.com, and he was the host of the geocaching podcast. And he has a product that helped lead me through all of those steps. And if it hadn't been for Andy, the 4x4 podcast would not exist, because I wouldn't have been able to get past the technical headache of how to do all this. And here, 100 episodes later, I'm still fighting different gremlins. It's amazing. All right, we got another
changing technology.
Yeah, no kidding. We've got Jesse Farmer, and I have. He actually won some Jeep grab handles, and I think I may have. You know what? I'll go ahead and say it now. I have 2 more sets of Jeep grab handles. So the first 2 people that send me an email to yahoo.com, what you're going to do with those grab handles, they're all yours, and I'll send them out to you. But Jesse, he says, I've learned of some great equipment, been introduced to websites and people that supply and support a lifestyle and community that I love. It's afforded me the opportunity to support that community in ways that I didn't know were available. It's also provided hours of entertainment and, more importantly, knowledge. I've learned a lot about overlanding, which I knew existed but have never heard of someone actually doing before listening to the podcast. It's something I've always thought about doing, and without the resources I've been introduced to through the podcast, it was just a dream I would never have thought about pursuing. Now I am slowly getting my rig and gear together to hopefully give overlanding a try. Being a flatlander on the East Coast with nowhere legal to wheel close by, I've only participated in Jeep jamborees and taken weekend trips to Roush Creek. They are fun to go when I can, but but loving the outdoors and overlanding seems like something I would love. Thanks for all you do, and keep up the great work. So thanks again, Jesse. And I've seen some pictures of him putting his Dutch oven skills to work. And I think he, correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, but I think he bought that because of the same thing Tony mentioned, the outdoor edibles segment. So, and eventually, yeah, that's one of my favorites too. And we had talked about, Craig had mentioned the idea of doing a kind of a how to cook on cast iron show, or not show, but just event. So that's something we're still looking into. Man, if you thought this was hard, I don't know how to host a hangout outside by the campfire.
Yeah, it's not going to be too much easier.
Everybody drives to your house and we have one. That's
that's an even better idea.
You guys have your own money challenge.
Gotta get that done before you go to Alaska.
No. That just makes it even more challenging. You got to
born in Alaska. Go back.
That'd be awesome. I can't wait to get up there. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, Dan, I hear a lot of people. We get emails from people too of, where I live, I don't have really opportunity to go out and find different places to go wheeling other than the 4x4 parks and things like that. And I think listening to the show and seeing people going out and finding trails and maybe mapping trails and sharing that with the community through the motorcycle community or through the Overland or 4x4 community and getting those people out there. I mean, essentially it's just kind of going to the right place, going to a coffee shop in your local town and finding the right people or finding a truck that's kind of equipped or not, or and just finding those people. I think you're gonna find opportunities no matter where you are, whether it's in the Appalachian Mountains, whether it's in the Rocky Mountains or Pacific Northwest or Alaska or Central Plains or something like that. I mean, the Trans-Atlantic Trail, Trans-American Trail rather, it traverses the U.S. So I mean, there's work being done on that, and those opportunities are out there for people. So yeah, I mean, the podcast gives those people motivation to get out there and actually do it.
Yeah, even though there's not a whole lot of exciting things through Kansas, there's still some hidden gems. And, that's an idea that Rob Anderson over at Adventure IQ, he kind of opened up my idea to that, or my eyes to that. I think he called it the Project Rove, the regional overland vehicle, or it was just a regional exploration, and just trying to get people out and explore what's in your backyard, because you never know what's there. And it doesn't have to be a super technical rock crawling thing. There's the tagline on the show is explore your world, and that's really what it's all about, just getting out there, seeing what's available to you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dirt in Kansas too.
That's true.
There's a lot of flat ground.
There are some other off-roading parks. There's Kansas Rocks and was it Tuttle Creek?
Yeah, Tuttle Creek out in western Kansas, central western Kansas.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to explore either one because I've been nailed down with school on top of school, and wanted to keep the show going. So, but yeah, eventually I'd like to do that. I'm sure eventually I'll be back, or at least in the area. But let's see, we've got another message I can share. This is from Jason Hoffman. He says, I've been introduced to a lot of great websites, learned that there's some good wheeling not far from your home, and just listening to the podcast has been great entertainment. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Jason, and that's really what we're going for.
So, Dan.
Yeah.
How has this show benefited you? I mean, obviously we hear others, talking about how it's brought excitement to them. How is, sorry to turn the interview around here, but what has this done for you?
There's somebody asked me before, there's a question that goes around amongst podcasters is, what is your, because of my podcast, fill in the blank story? And what you see here on this hangout, all these different faces, I would not have been able to interact with you guys if it had not been for the podcast. I am, believe it or not, an introvert. I don't normally just go up and talk to people. And it's funny that, Tony's got a similar story, I think, that even though I host a podcast and I talk and I'm listened to by many, many people, that is totally outside of my normal character. But really the biggest thing that's
I noticed that you do it from a box, though.
I do.
So I think that feeds your, to be in all seriousness, I think it feeds your introvertedness, as you're not actually seeing us.
Well, that's true. That's true. But I found that even going out to events, I find myself being more approachable and more outgoing myself. So it's and there's, like I said, there's been so many people that I've been able to interact with just because of the podcast, and that is really how it's benefited me the most. It gives me another excuse to put stuff on the Jeep and go try new locations, but really it's all about the community as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Not on the Jeep part, but on the community.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and I've said it many times. Just because I have a Jeep doesn't make me a Jeep guy. The Jeep is not the one driving to Alaska, so it's getting hauled up there by a commercial carrier.
What's the name of your dog again, Dan?
Now hang on. You're telling me there's four-wheel drives that are not Jeeps?
That are not XJs.
Ouch! Wow, this is amazing. I've learned something tonight.
We just need to get Dan involved in one-wheel drive.
I had a Jeep once.
It's funny you mention that. I would love to get into some sort of dual sports. I have been keeping my eyes open.
Oh yeah.
I tell you, that's a long road to hoe though with my wife Stephanie. That was the one thing. She has never flat out said no to anything except for the motorcycle. Yeah. And even that I'm still working on. She'll eventually hear this and probably punch me, but
yeah, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. I've learned that.
You're saying you're going to get punched.
Says the guy with the baby behind him.
Yeah. I've got to ease into it. I figure maybe we'll get a quad once I get up to Alaska, to plow the driveway when it's buried in 8 feet of snow. And then
yes, exactly.
You gotta get her talking to the other ladies on motorcycles. Is what you gotta do.
I think a quad would probably be a lot safer for you, Dan, unless it's an off-road motorcycle.
Well, that's my plan. I don't know that there's much point in having a street bike up in Alaska, but yeah, the Ural with the sidecar, that's actually a legit two-wheel drive.
Oh yeah.
Where that sidecar wheel has a axle shaft going over to it. Yeah, that's been on my dream list for a number of years at this point.
Well, remember, when you see a moose on the highway in front of you, you're supposed to speed up. That way go up and over, right?
I don't know if those rules actually apply in a motorcycle. That could end badly.
I may be confused.
I don't think those rules apply with a four-wheel vehicle when you're going after a moose.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. That's not going to end well. I plan to solve that moose problem with a 30-06 instead.
Good luck.
And a fork and a knife.
A lot of forks and knives.
Good luck.
I think you're going to annoy the moose.
And mentioning
last time anybody in my family got a moose, it was like eating a tire.
Oh. Don't tell me that.
Oh, really?
I'm moving to Wyoming.
It's great in Chile.
Moose chili.
We can have moose in Wyoming, though.
That is a lot of chili.
There is a two-wheel motorcycle out there, and I posted it on Facebook. There's a two-wheel drive off-road.
Chili's good to have all that time.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Ural motorcycles, they were made in Russia. Oh, that other two-wheel
He's talking
drive.
about that dirt bike.
That one was pretty slick.
That looks so complex.
I think the issue with it, I posted it on there, is that it's not going to turn. It's going to be like having front and rear lockers on your four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it turns and rides like a regular motorcycle.
Oh, no, it'll go around.
The drive shaft goes down the center of the
fork.
Actually goes down through the center of the steering rod. So there's no difference to riding a regular motorcycle to that.
It would still feel a lot different though, because it's actually pulling from the front, whereas a normal motorcycle, you get on the throttle, and that rear end is going to dig.
Yeah, some of the enduro riders that ride the big hare scrambles, the Red Bull hare scrambles and stuff like that, even the arena enduros that you watch and stuff, some of those bikes have, I think it's a Christie two-wheel drive system actually installed into the frame of those bikes. Yeah, and I think it works off a limited slip, so when you need it, the post that you guys had, it seemed like he had kind of a switch lever for it to activate it, where the models that I've seen are activated like a limited slip, like if the back tire is spinning, then the front tire will catch, which is kind of unique too.
I think the video was showing the difference between a single and a two-wheel drive. Mm-hmm. So they were showing a regular motorcycle where it would get stuck, and then the two-wheel motorcycle where it would come in and just rip through.
Yeah. Either way, I want one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll take it no matter what.
They have the older ones that have the big old fat tires, like balloon tires.
Yeah, those Russian ones.
Yeah, the Russian ones.
Yeah.
But they've upgraded them with the newer. A cross-country enduro would be kind of cool to have one of those on it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what Rich rides, right?
Yeah, Rich. I have a notification on my phone whenever a new KLR is posted on Craigslist. It'll pop up. Really, I know I'm just torturing myself. I can look anyways.
I do that with Land Cruisers.
Somehow I get my wife. She's into the idea. She wants to get a couple of KLR 650s, but the whole Ural idea, she is like, hell no. She's like, I'm not riding in that little side of that little stupid thing. I want my own bike. So maybe you gotta get yours onto her own bike.
Yeah, if you can get them on your own bikes, that's the fun part.
There you go.
I was doing a fire inspection here locally, and we have a big power plant. There used to be a barbed wire factory. And I opened this door to this big room, and there were probably 25 to 30 Urals in different state of repair.
What?
The guy just been collecting all these Urals, and been selling them. It was amazing.
I'm gonna need that guy's phone number.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it sounds like those are probably Cold War era bikes. You probably don't want one of those.
Yeah, you don't want one of those.
Actually, some guys did three guys rode one on in the new Overland Journal. You can read about all their breakdowns.
Yeah.
Wait, 3 guys in a single Ural?
Yep. 3 guys.
Yeah,
Well, they have that pad on the front over the front wheel, so one's sitting over the front wheel, and then
I think they got snuggly.
Yeah.
They would have to.
I mean, as a Ural, they pushed it probably most of the way anyway. So.
How do you decide
That would be a whole new definition of
who
road
loses
rash.
that bet?
Straws.
yeah.
They rotated.
Yeah, I think they have a sidecar class, and even in the Dakar Rally too, don't they? Or I could be mistaken on that, but
I don't know. I hadn't seen that one.
I've seen them on the Isle of Man in those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when they're leaning off to the
scary
side.
stuff.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
It's more
those
like
guys-
a pallet.
Oh man, that guy really must hate his life. Like, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. I'm gonna ride the Isle of Man in this sidecar motorcycle.
Oh yeah,
What could
I've seen
possibly
but-
go wrong?
I've seen them
Only
in
half
hay
of it is in the
bales, too.
sidecar at any given time, though. So
Have y'all seen
They're
them
hanging
hanging the hay bales?
Yeah.
And they just destroy it, and they go flying through the air.
It's a yard sale of motorcycle and body parts.
Oh yeah, so don't show those to your wife. Those videos.
Those are no-goes. Also, I'm not a Jedi Knight cruising around the Isle of Man. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's listen to some of these voicemails.
This is Andy Lilienthal, PR manager from Bushwhacker, and I'd like to congratulate the 4x4 podcast on its 100th episode. Keep up.
Well, thank you, Andy. It's been great having him on the show when he was over at Warren, and we've talked to him at Bushwhacker. So I'm looking forward to actually finally meeting Andy face to face when I get up to the Northwest Overland Rally and Expo, or not Expo, Rally Workshop. Yeah. The expo is here next month in May, but the workshop is in June in Plain, Washington. So I'll be up there, and I'll be linking up with, I think, quite a few of the folks from the audience. I think the guys from Oregon Trail Off-Road will be up there, and there's a couple others I've seen comment on Facebook. So that's always the fun part when we take the show on the road. We'll start bumping into people who listen or watch the videos or whatever.
Sit in their kitchen or, you know.
That's it. I can sit in their kitchen and record another podcast.
Show them how to cook in those iron skillets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had two ordeals with Dan like that. Once was a podcast in the kitchen, and then once was a cold November night out in my backyard.
You say cold, but I think it was like 70 degrees. That's just Tennessee cold.
That'd be a pretty funny video, Dan. That'd be a pretty funny video, Dan. Walk in there with your, "Hi, I'm Dan with the 4x4 podcast, and I'm here to cook you a meal."
That's about how it happened, actually.
A bag full of hot dogs and some sticks.
No. When I went over at David's house, we had the famous 4x4 podcast chili.
It was very, very good, by the way.
Was it elk meat?
Yeah.
Moose?
What is it, 4 or 5 of us? I don't think we ate it all. So no, there was no moose in that one. Yeah. That was straight cow. But there was a lot of it. Let's see. I got a couple more voicemails here, so let's jump to the next one.
Dan, this is Matt with CampForlo.com. Congratulations on your 100th show, buddy. You are doing a great job sharing this passion with the world. Here's to 1,000 more. I can't wait to get you back to Baja.
All right. Thank you, Matt, for calling in the voice message. And for sure, if anybody is actually planning a trip down to the Baja Peninsula and you're a little nervous about what to do, where to go, definitely hit up campforlo.com. And Matt he's got a team of guides. They've been down there racing in the Baja 1000 and just touring down there for many years. So their expertise will get you to all the great places. You'll see everything exciting down there. And I think Matt was one of, if not the very first sponsor of the 4x4 podcast. He actually provided the lovely stickers that I've been able to share with so many of the listeners. So that's awesome. You know, it's funny. I had looked the other day, and there is probably 250 stickers, 4x4 podcast stickers, in the wild. And I've even seen pictures shared of them showing up on bars and gas stations down in Baja. So it's cool. When Brian Dorr posted a picture of the Exploring Elements sticker down in Mexico, right up next to a 4x4 podcast sticker, and I know he didn't put it there, so who knows where that one came from. So this is awesome. I love
But it seems like, and Rich may
getting
remember,
all these messages. All right, we got 3 or 4 more.
Hey, this is Rob from Adventure IQ and the Adventure IQ podcast. Guys, congratulations on episode 100. It has been amazing to watch you guys grow. Love your show. Good luck, and looking forward to the next 100 out here.
Me too. I'm looking forward to the next 100.
Thank you. Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit in the future, some of the stuff that's coming up for the next 100 episodes. And, you know, since we have this fairly infrequent or wildly unscheduled release, I pulled up in iTunes when the show actually started. Episode 1 was released in July 16th, 2011. That was a long time ago. And it took us to 100 episodes. So, who knows how long it's going to take us to get to episode 200. But we'll keep chugging away at it.
And Dan, in your early years, how did you release your shows? I mean, was it just kind of every once in a while, sort of like you do now, or was it more specific?
No, I've always aimed for the one a week, but there was many times where I was lucky to get one a month, and a part of it was some scheduling conflicts a lot of times because I've done the show. The show started while I was in South Korea, and from there I moved to upstate New York, and from there, I recorded shows from Afghanistan, back to Asia for that, and then here we are in Kansas, and I've done shows, or at least recorded, all over the place, from New Hampshire and Vermont, and so, yeah, listen to episode 1, and I decided not to share that on this episode 100 because the recording quality was pretty rough, and it was a fairly canned, unnatural conversation. So, but it's funny, I get messages fairly often that somebody's discovered the show and they've gone back to listen from the beginning. If I had a badge that you could earn by listening to all 100 episodes, I'd give it to you.
That's a good idea.
So Dan, when was it that you kind of realized you had people following you and really starting to pay attention to your show?
I think it first came when I got a message from Blue Ridge Overland Gear, from Matt over there, and he had heard all the Dutch oven conversations and the cast iron stuff, and he had a Dutch oven bag, a transport bag, that he had a prototype and needed some real world testing. And so that very first time that I was contacted out of the blue by somebody that valued my opinion, that was the moment where I said, I think the show is actually going somewhere, because it started off just a way for me to stay plugged into the off-roading community while being away from my Jeep and away from the community. So that was the moment.
About what episode was that when you really started feeling?
Well, let me jump back into iTunes and scroll through here.
To get complicated.
Yeah, that's how this thing's gonna fall apart,
Yeah, that's where I actually ran into Dan, was over at the Blue Ridge Overland Gear shop. So, tagging up to him, followed him on Twitter and stuff like that, when we first got started. But to meet him, face to face and talk things through, and yeah, Matt's a good guy down there at Blue Ridge Overland Gear for sure.
Yeah, they really do put together some outstanding stuff. And I still have that same Dutch oven bag it's been getting used and abused off-road now for 3 years, and it still looks like it's brand new, minus the charcoal dust and campfire soot that's all over it.
Yeah.
But, that just means the bag is well seasoned. It still looks brand new other than that. So, and I've got the prototype and the version that came out after that, and since then they've continued to update it. Last I talked to him, he had made some modifications to it so that it could be strapped onto a canoe seat.
Yeah, underside of a canoe seat. Yep.
Yeah, that's brilliant, because I know Dutch ovens are very popular for canoe trips. So that's pretty cool. But I've also got, let's see, I can't even really go through the entire list of Blue Ridge Overland Gear stuff that I have, but my favorites are definitely the seat back panel with all the pockets and the visor organizers. Those are, and the map bag. The map transport bag is excellent.
Now that one's waterproof.
I need one of those.
It's not waterproof, but it's water resistant. The materials that they use on all the stuff that Blue Ridge Overland Gear makes is just top notch. You're not going to find that on anything you can get in your normal catalog. I've heard of other people getting seat panel things, and they just fall apart, just because the workmanship and materials are not up to par.
Oh, maybe we need to get them together with Fridge and get them to make a bag for your fridge.
That's true, and that's the other thing great about Blue Ridge Overland Gear is that you can send them any idea that you have. They do custom work as well.
Pretty sure they made all the swag bags for the Overland Expo East.
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
hadn't
he's
heard
doing
that.
he's doing West too, actually. Now.
Haven't done West yet.
See, it's really exciting. I feel like I at least had a little bit of a role in kind of spreading the love and the awareness of Blue Ridge Overland gear, and I couldn't help but tell people about how awesome the stuff they make is.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think just the creativity that goes into actually designing a kit bag that he makes for a specific purpose, and then all of the other ideas that evolve from it from the people that actually have them. I mean, that's where that collaborative piece of it comes together, is people sharing their ideas and saying, well, what if you did this? And he thinks back and kind of redesigns and reconfigures and stuff, and truly an awesome product. I agree with you.
It was through this podcast where I first heard of them too. So I mean, they do make a nice product.
Yeah.
Are they, Rich? Are they the guys that came out in the old FJ at the Overland East?
No, that was a fabrication shop. I can't remember who it was.
That showed up to that for a little bit.
He would have been in a 100 series, pulling a cargo trailer at Overland East last year.
Yeah. I thought I remembered somebody pulling around him.
Yep, great people there, and the whole crew over there. I mean, one of the things I love most about their products is that when you order one and get it, it has a tag that has the signature of everybody that touched it, everybody that's sewn a zipper on it, put together a seam, done the quality checks on it, and so it's the real thing. There's like 4 or 5 people there, you know, Richard and Jen.
It's not like that.
No, that Smittybuilt stuff's gonna fall apart within days of putting it to use.
Yeah, when we did a maker type of documentary short film for him over there at Blue Ridge Overland Gear, and he used one word or one term coined in that interview that I kind of stepped away from, thinking like it's so true, like referencing his equipment that he builds as legacy equipment, because it will, just like you were talking about with your Dutch oven bag. I mean, it'll last. So.
And that's one of the great things about what Dan's doing with this podcast is, you're putting the spotlight on some of these companies that may, the Overland community we'd like to think is really, really big, with Expo Portal and stuff, but really it's still kind of a smaller community, and there's new people every day, and any resource like this podcast to bring people into it, and then you're really putting a spotlight on, hey, here's the quality companies to, that you're reviewing or you're talking with on the show each week, and that's probably where I've really, not being a Jeep guy and not really having an interest in much of the Toyota stuff either, that I've found as kind of a Nissan guy, is Dan's, you're talking with these companies that may offer something to me that I would never ever have found if it wasn't for your interviews, and kudos to you for that, because whether you know it or not, I mean, there's 10 people in this room right now that we've either interviewed with you or just had some dealings with, and for those out there, no matter where you are in the world, Dan is a super quality guy. He when I've met him several times, I mean, he is the same person that you hear in this interview. When you talk to him, he doesn't put on anything about him. If you're introverted, I've never noticed it with you. But if anybody out there within the next 100 episodes, if you get to meet Dan, man, take the time. I think I've met have I met all of your children, Dan? I don't think I've met your son.
No, you haven't met the oldest or the youngest.
Okay,
but man, every time I go to Tennessee, my daughter Brooke, she keeps saying, "Hey, I want to go see Sydney." So.
But I knew. Sorry to interrupt here, but I for me personally, Dan has helped me launch a podcast, which is probably the biggest benefit that was dealing with him. We've done, I think, a couple interviews, and Dan kept pushing me, and which is really nice. I mean, Dan doesn't have to say, hey, here's some competition, let me get some more competition started for listeners. But Dan really pushed me and drove me to, you can do this. And I appreciate that, Dan, and I want to say thank you, and hopefully you have another 1,000 more shows in you, because you really do an excellent job.
Dan, do you get really tired when people wish you 1,000 more shows, especially when you've had
For me,
Yeah.
no, I don't. I'd say, yeah, let's go 1,000 shows. I'm good with it.
That's funny. I mean, it took 4 years to do 100. So by that math, 1,000. That's
25, that's 25 a year.
Whew.
You
So
got
long.
That's 2 a month.
Well, hopefully we're on a more regular schedule. We can do a lot more faster.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny. Just lately, as my school stuff has started to draw down to a more normal schedule, we've actually been able to do one a week. Well, three a month, because I guess now is as good a time as any to mention that we've been able to launch a new show. And really, this is all because of everybody that shops on our Amazon affiliate link. It's been very active. I need to go back in and look and do a You Bought What segment like they've got over, like Tony does on the XJ Talk Show. But because of all the support that... You've bought what? Yeah, sorry. All that good correct grammar. Got it. But it's because of everybody that's bought stuff made their purchases using our affiliate link, which I'll mention now is the 4x4podcast.com/Amazon. You just shop like you normally would, and that has helped fund the launch of the Overland Roundtable. So I really appreciate everybody that's been doing that, because really, like I say, it goes to paying for the hosting fees for the media and the website, but you've been doing so great lately that now we're bringing a whole nother show.
And it's so great that Amazon
exhaust on there.
Because, Amazon they don't charge you anything more whenever you buy something, but yet they give a little something to the people that are advertising, and it's a wonderful deal. I mean, you're going to go shop at Amazon anyway, so you might as well help support your favorite podcast.
Yeah,
and we appreciate it.
Yeah, I really do.
Somebody's got to keep the big guy in banners back there.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna have a banner made, but I ran out of time. I'll have one for the Overland Rally. I don't know if I'm gonna get one that's as high quality as the one Craig's got, because that thing it stood up to the desert wind in Johnson Valley. So that one's been tested.
Oh yeah, it's been tested. So we'll see how long it lasts. It is set up, but you know what? Probably I don't see much more use than it hanging behind me. So maybe you can work something out, and I'll send you it because it's got everything on it and what
That's
I paid
true.
for it. Well, you might as well use it for something.
Yep, send it around for all these events.
Get some signatures on there, Craig, as you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there's an idea. I thought about that.
Great idea.
Hey Dan,
Well,
how did you?
Can I say that's why there's so much space between the letters? But no, it wasn't it. It was my first shot at it. I said, "Oh, this is what I want," and they said, "Oh, you put it in the wrong format. We got to put it in a different format." I'm like, "Whatever, just get
Next
it done."
thing you know, it's 6 feet tall.
Yeah. Well, they called me. It was kind of funny.
And he's gone again.
It was so funny. He dropped off. Go booted him out. What were you saying, David?
I was going to ask, how did you and Craig get together?
Keep it down, Morgan.
Somebody answer the call.
We've got the Google
I'm
Space.
trying to get my stupid tablet to work here because my computer's lagging so bad.
Hey, I totally get that. I had to shut the Wi-Fi off on the tablet and the phone was going, and like I said, we are building this airplane while it's flying.
Well, considering I've crashed 2 of them, I know how that goes.
Oh.
So when we need something to break, we know who to call.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Is that really Harrison Ford?
Oh.
Yeah, that airplane crashed was a lovely one.
Oh, beautiful thing. It's so sad.
You know, I saw there was a picture of Harrison Ford getting loaded into the ambulance. Carbonite. Going around for a little bit.
I
All right,
told
David. I'll let
I
you
told
ask the
Tammy he
question.
crashed because there was a snake in the plane, and she was like, "Really?"
So Dan, how did
Really hates
I don't know if your listeners know, how did you and Craig get together?
Well, I'll let Craig answer that one.
If I'm here, if you guys can hear me, my connection seems to go in and out. Dan and his brother were doing the show, and they were mentioning something about air tank, and I had mentioned to them that I had thought of this worm drive system that I had heard of through a company, and I emailed them and then said, hey, if you need anything else, you need me to check out anything, let me know. And then Dan emailed me back saying, hey, you might be interested in being in the show, and then we did a interview over Skype, and then we went from there.
Yeah, and it's been great having you. It's been great having, that cross the continent connection too. Because Craig, you've been able to go to all these different events that I haven't been able to make it, and it looks like Google's booting him out again.
But he finished the story. He finished the story.
It did. It was like, okay, Google's like, it's over now.
Hey, we're gonna cap off your Google pipe. You're done. But it's been great having Craig on to be able to cover those events that I haven't been able to get to, and I know it's benefited him. He's met Jesse Combs out there at Johnson Valley, and I don't know that he would have ended up there if it hadn't been for the prompting of me and the 4x4 podcast audience trying to get some coverage on those different events. So that's pretty good. Well, before things start going sideways again, let's hit the next message.
Hi, Dan. This is Scott Cheney with Compact Camping Concepts and Danute Trailers. Just wanted to call and wish you a congratulations on the 4x4 podcast becoming very close to hitting the 100 mark. It's and I look forward to after you hit the 100 mark. Congratulations again. Keep up the good work.
All right, thanks, Scott. And Scott is really kind of the mastermind of why there is a, I would say, 60% finished trailer in my garage. He planted the bug in my mind, really. I guess it was already there, but he really kind of brought it to fruition because he's doing the compact camping concepts, like you mentioned, and the T-Venturing forum that's associated with that is just full of people who are doing the exact same thing, building their own trailers to go off-roading and adventuring with. So he's been great to work with and super easy to get a hold of too. There's been many times where I've got a question about something, and I'll just give him a call and we'll chat. He'll provide me the information, and I'm back to work on the project. So if anybody is interested in learning more about building a trailer for themselves to support their adventures, I cannot recommend highly enough. Go over to Compact Camping Concepts and pick up one of their books. He's got the Explorer Box book. I think it was $35. And that has all the plans, all the measurements you need to build your own Explorer box on a lightweight Harbor Freight frame, or if you want to have one manufactured and welded up so it's good and solid, it's got all the plans for that. But since my trailer is substantially larger than that, he also has the ABC guide to building a trailer. And he's been doing this for a number of years and has a lot of experience, and being able to lean on that has actually led me to build the trailer in the way that I am, and I'm glad that I've taken his advice because it's a lot stronger than the way I would have done it using the corner block technique. So it's a great resource, and he's also got the Danute trailers, and you've probably seen Danute showing up on a lot of other websites. it's a fiberglass tub system, and you just epoxy the thing together, and you've got a great looking body for a trailer. So I even saw them featured on Expedition Portal. I think they were not initially included in the the budget trailer segment, and I looked in the comment section, and there was just on fire with people saying, "Hey, you forgot Danute trailers." So it's good to see that he's getting that recognition, because he definitely deserves it for all the work that he's done putting that together, and just such an outstanding product. So let's see. Has any of you guys seen the Danute trailers highlighted anywhere?
Yeah, I follow them on Facebook.
Which trailers? The Danutes?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're very nice looking trailers. They look like TJ rear tubs.
Yeah.
I'd seen where some guys were taking older Jeep tubs and taking two tail ends and welding them together and making their trailer, and it's kind of what he's got. It's something very similar. It's symmetrical front and rear, and he's got a lot of different options. You can lengthen them, shorten them. He's got lids for them, all kinds of cool stuff. And I think he's working on a camper version, kind of like the James Baroud. You know, they just kind of fold up in the front, they clamshell. I saw he was working on something like that too at one point.
Yeah, there's such a great community over there at tventuring.com, and the famous Jay Sherb. I don't know what his actual name is, but he's on a bunch of different forums, and he does a great job of prototyping some fiberglass parts. And he's done a lot of work on those Danute trailer bodies, trying to put those together. And you know, one of the things that I've heard a lot of discussion about is the pop top hard shell rooftop tents versus the like fold open kind, like the CVT or the Tipui, or any of the other ones like the Simpson or the ARB Simpson. And having those parts that are available, you can make your own hard shell rooftop tent. So I don't know if those are in full production yet or not, but that is an outstanding setup to check out if you have not already.
I'll have to check that out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. I've got another message from one of our listeners. Let's take it away.
Hey, 4x4 Podcast. This is the Battering Ham from Portland, Oregon. Just calling to say congratulations on the 100th episode, and you guys are doing an excellent job on the show. And if you pass through my neck of the woods on your way up to Alaska, let me know. I'd be happy to buy you a beer. Congrats again. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thank you very much, and I will be passing through your area. So we're looking at doing and it's not just so you can buy me a beer. We plan on doing a stop there in Portland, but we are going to have a meetup. I got to get some of the details put together here a little bit better. But Jason from Oregon Trail Off-Road is going to help me host a meetup there in Portland, so I can meet so many of the listeners there. Maybe Josh from the XJ Talk Show can come and join us as well.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Lots of great stuff. And we're going to do a lot of sharing our location as we go through, because this trip to Alaska is going to cover a lot of miles.
Don't think about it.
Yeah.
There's going to be some interesting things along the way, too.
Oh, yeah. There's going to be tons of interesting stuff. So here's I don't know if we've talked about it too much on the podcast, but the basic plan for my route is we're going to go here from the Kansas City area, probably straight through the state over to Denver. We'll see my family, and then head north up to Casper, Wyoming, where we'll link up with Bo Johnston. And as long as the plans don't go horribly sideways like the beginning of this podcast did, we're going to take a little 2-day trip through Yellowstone, 2 or 3 days, depending on how the schedule works out. So we can actually explore Yellowstone National Park. And Bo has a lot of experience up there. He's done a lot of great photography. So I'm looking forward to seeing those areas and exploring and just having that kind of expertise there on the trail with us. From there, we'll cross over into Idaho, and we'll see the, not moon rocks or crater. Anyways, there's a bunch of lava. Craters of the Moon State Park or National Park. Yeah, we'll stop in there. And I've been there before, but I don't think my wife and I know my kids haven't. So I'm excited to show them that kind of really unique area. The landscape there is amazing. But from there, we'll go down into Boise, Idaho, and hopefully we'll see Rob from Adventure IQ. We'll see my brother and his wife. And let's see, from Boise, we'll head over to Oregon. And if there's time, we'll also plan on going up to Crater National Park there and see the giant crater in Oregon. I've heard lots of great things. It's beautiful from what I've seen in the pictures. But from there, we'll go up, meet up some folks in Portland. We'll do a meetup in Seattle. I think we're going to do the meetup before the Overland Rally and Workshop. But the workshop is the June 20-something. I don't have a calendar here in front of me. It's late June. But after that, that's our official launch into the real exciting part of our trip, where we cross over the border to our north. We'll go up to British Columbia, and then all the way up into the Yukon Territory.
Leaping from tree to tree. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
My best girlie by my side.
Yeah, we're going to dodge potholes all the way, I'm sure. I don't know how many trees are in the road, but there's probably a few falling off the logging trucks. I've heard it gets pretty exciting on that route. But once we get up to the Yukon, I think it's Whitehorse.
Sounds about right.
Whitehorse? Yeah, that's where, kind of where the Alcan Highway starts, or the Casser. I don't know. Somebody needs to educate me on this. But then we'll drive straight down into to Fairbanks. Maybe cross through Denali National Park as well.
Remember, if you can see Russia, you've gone too far.
That's true.
Maybe they'll build that bridge in time.
Well, there is that highway we talked about on the show a couple shows back that actually transverses from all of Russia and Europe, and supposedly part of Alaska. So,
well, there was discussion of they might build they wanted to build a bridge between the two.
Interesting. Well, if there's a bridge, I'm going to drive on it.
Not yet. No, there's no bridge yet. No.
Whenever there is a bridge, I still want to drive on it.
I heard there was a land bridge once.
Once, yes.
Long time ago.
I don't think I didn't notice that part of your trip going to Alaska is not coming to Texas. I noticed that right away.
That's true. Well, if you could get Texas moved up somewhere between Colorado and Canada, that'd be great.
I noticed he's not coming to Pennsylvania either, so...
When are you rolling through Wyoming?
Let's see. It'll be mid-June when we pull out of here, and it'll be... I don't know, like the 18th we'll be in Wyoming, June 18th, 17th, 18th, 19th, something like that. I should have a calendar.
That's about when we're going to get there, I think.
Oh, well, if...
You're going to drive right through Riverton to get to...
I've been to Riverton before, yeah.
To get to Yellowstone, I think you'll have to drive through there and Lander.
Yeah.
So
well, we'll be in touch. We'll have to see if we can link up. Both be pulling a trailer. Mine will probably be decisively less weight.
Yeah, I think mine's going to have a Xterra on it.
Oh, yeah?
On a U-Haul truck.
You're building a teardrop node now. Are you going to be able to have that wrapped up and finished, or is it going to be a project that gets totally derailed?
No, all the hard stuff's done. The biggest thing is I'm waiting to hang everything on it, and I can't do that because it's been the temperature hasn't been what it needs to be. I think it has to be over 65. And when we left to go to Easter Jeep Safari, it was still dropping down to the 30s here. And so now it's just starting to get warm. I'm just waiting for it to dry up a little bit, and I'll be able to put the epoxy coating on it, and then hang the solar panels and all the other little knickknacks and stuff.
Yeah. You know, I went back and forth on the solar setup for this, and eventually I will add solar, but for now I'm doing a dual battery setup where there's like an umbilical cord that's going to connect the trailer to the Yukon and charge the batteries on the trailer to help power the fridge and the lights and the other bits, the water pump.
Yeah, I mean, if you plan for it now and kind of retrofit it now so you can add it later, I mean, that's...
Yeah, if you're like me and you're solar retarded, there's a company, I'll have to send you a link, but there's a company on Amazon that they put kits together, and they're very reasonably priced, and they've got good tech support.
Oh, perfect.
I think they're just called Wind Solar or something generic like that, but
Wind Solar. Huh.
I know, right?
I feel like there's a joke in there.
I'm not smart enough to make it, but if you get to that point, I can send you their information.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing about having the actual dual battery setup is that if for some reason the battery in the Yukon goes flat, then I just go over to the dual battery controller, hit the button, and it will link the batteries together, and I can start from the trailer battery. And I don't know that that's possible with the solar. I'd have to remove the battery and go jumper cable it together.
Yeah, you'd have to jump from your house battery to your starting battery, yeah.
Yeah, we plan to have 3 batteries in ours. The solar's just for, I don't know, a little overkill, and so we could stay for like 10 days without moving around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, I've got the water tank in place now. I've got I still have to cut the little trapdoor and run the plumbing for the hoses, and still do the wiring for the 12-volt pump.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all coming together nicely. I've got all the pieces that I need. I just have to finish putting it together.
How much time do you have, Dan?
Not enough.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I hope it all works out.
Well, I've put together the checklist. Like the remaining tasks are all listed out, and so I've got that in Evernote for my wife to look at, and she is more than capable of taking care of a lot of things with the trailer as long as the kids allow her the time to do that. She can go knock out some tasks.
Man, I like what you're doing there.
Yeah.
That's great, man. I'm going to be at work. If you can have these things done when I get home, it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the way it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely not.
Just give the kids some paint brushes and let them loose.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, we did the pre-finishing on the inside of the trailer, so the polyacrylic stuff on the inside is all done for the most part. There's some little touch-up spots. But for the outside, I'm actually using, I went back and forth using like a bed liner stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the Durabach paint finish. But what I've ended up going with is it's a deck finish, and this one is extremely tough. It's really thick. It's kind of got a texture to it.
I think I know what you're talking about. I love that one too.
I have that on my deck.
Market.
They've got several different textures. I feel like a rough texture looks kind of like a old stone or brick or something. Yep. Then you got more of a smoother one, and the one that's kind of in between.
Yep, I picked it up at Home Depot for a lot less than it costs to do a bed liner.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about that is that it's designed to be exposed to the sun, and so if it fades, it'll fade uniformly.
Yeah.
And I can go back to another Lowe's or Home Depot and pick up some more and just roll it on.
Yeah, I ended up with the garage floor epoxy.
There you go.
Satin. It was the same color I already had it stained, so it's perfect. And it's
That's
cheap
a
as
pretty good idea.
If it doesn't work, I'll wrap it in aluminum like it's supposed to be. It's just $600. So I was like, I'll try this $70 can of epoxy.
I know. And you think about this.
I did a bunch of research, and I talked to a lot of people that are professional woodworkers and stuff. They all seem to think it'll fix as long as it'll work well as long as I do the prep work correctly. So just making sure there's no
there you go.
grease or oils or anything left over from building it.
Yeah, that's what I did. My woes with my fuel tank, I decided to just go ahead and patch the holes, and I went to the store, and a buddy recommended JB Weld. When I went to the store, JB Weld doesn't have a fuel one, or they didn't have one in stock, so they gave me another type of sealer for fuel tanks, and I patched up the tank, and instead of $400 tank,